Have you heard of the shadow government? These are the private super secret cabal that really controls the United States government. At least, that is what the conspiracy theory says. On the campaign trail, Donald Trump promised he would drain the swamp and bring integrity to federal institutions. But as he inadvertently created a shadow government of his own, in creating the Department of Government Efficiency, is Donald Trump willingly ceding power to corporate interests? Will the United States be led by President Elon Musk in the next 4 years? Let's talk about it. So last week, the United States government was really close to shutting down. Congress needed to pass a short-term funding bill to keep the government running till the middle of March next year. That needed to be done by midnight on December the 20th. Now, this doesn't mean that without the funding bill, the government runs out of money right away. But what it does mean is that the government loses the legal authority to spend on non-essential services. So things like national security, social security, Medicare, and law enforcement. Those are deemed essential. They stay open. Administrative functions and national park employees, those are deemed not so essential. So government employees in these non-essential departments end up getting put on compulsory leave, basically a furlough, which means that they don't get paid until the funding returns. So you get the idea here. So what does this have to do with a shadow government? Well, that's the other part of this I have to lay out for you guys. The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE for short, is basically an unofficial advisory group created by President-elect Donald Trump. Their job is to remove unnecessary regulations in order to reduce wasteful spending and increase government efficiency. Very catchy, eh? So Trump, in preparing for his second term in office, announced this advisory group would be led by Elon Musk, richest man in the world, in case you don't know the guy, and Vivek Ramaswamy, a very rich politician. That's all you really need to know about him for now. Okay, so now we've got all the pieces. Let's put it together, okay? So on Wednesday last week, Congress was set to pass the funding bill. For the most part, Democrats and Republicans were actually in the same book for once. I wouldn't go as far as saying they were on the same page, but the new funding bill was looking like it would glide through the House and Senate with ease. However, that bipartisan funding bill was rejected by President-elect Donald Trump and Elon Musk on several key issues. The debt ceiling was a really big one of those issues. The $100 billion allocation to disaster recovery and $30 billion allocated to farm aid were not very well received as well by some Republicans. There's other contentious stuff, but that is really the high-level summary. So while Trump seemed a bit more concerned about the debt ceiling, Elon Musk was probably more concerned with the size of the spending proposed in the funding bill. Elon Musk and Trump registered their displeasure in the only way you know they will, on social media. There's a lot more concern now, having seen their reaction essentially to that initial funding bill. There's a lot more concern now about Elon Musk's influence on the incoming government, considering he threatened the political careers of elected officials. So here's what he posted on X. Elon Musk says, any member of the House or Senate who votes for this outrageous spending bill deserves to be voted out in 2 years. This is what he wrote on X. Classic Elon Musk, eh? It is very distasteful that he would make a show of the fact that he's got the Republican representatives by the family jewels like that. Like, to do it on social media, I think it was a bad look. But isn't that what he's there for? As I mentioned off the top, Elon and the Department of Government Efficiency is supposed to reduce wasteful spending in government and also increase government efficiency. Now, it might seem counterintuitive that he and Trump have requested that the debt ceiling be raised or removed. Wouldn't that just allow the government to run up a tab, create more debt? Well, actually, this isn't necessarily true. Trump's push to remove the debt ceiling is about avoiding the constant political battles and potential economic disruptions that come with hitting that debt limit, right? So it doesn't mean abandoning efforts to reduce government debt or improve efficiency. It's actually about ensuring the government can function smoothly while those longer term goals are being pursued. Also, people have been speaking of the suspension of the debt ceiling like it is something new. Donald Trump got the debt ceiling suspended between August 2019 through July 2021. That was during the COVID pandemic. And that was exactly where your COVID relief checks came from. You know, so to be fair, Joe Biden has also suspended the debt ceiling in his term as well. He's had the debt ceiling suspended from June 2023, and that will last up until January 1st, 2025 as well. So essentially, the removal of the debt ceiling is kind of like the government issuing itself a blank check for a little while, you know? So let's bring that back to the funding bill. Eventually, when the bill did pass, right on deadline date, there was fresh money allocated to disaster recovery, to farm aid, and the Maryland Bridge repair. Remember that bridge that got hit by a ship? Yeah, that was the Maryland Bridge. Anyways, there was money for all those things, but several components of the initial bipartisan bill were noticeably removed. So, for example, the policy cracking down on the practices of big pharma. This policy, proposed in the earlier bipartisan funding bill, would have prevented large pharma companies from manipulating drug prices and restricting network access and patient choice in federal healthcare plans. Now, obviously, Big Pharma did not like that very much, so they lobbied and had it removed. Basically, Big Pharma wins again, right? I wonder what Luigi Mangione thinks about this. The other really sneaky thing that got removed from the funding bill was a provision that would have limited US investments in China, particularly in the technology sector. Now, I'm not going to lie, this one read like it was a personal favor to Elon Musk. You'll recall that he has some business interests in China. About half of Tesla's cars are currently built in China. And speaking of Tesla, there is this organization that has long been a thorn in Elon's side for years. It is called the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. And in the past, they forced Tesla to issue recalls over faulty tire pressure monitoring systems. And I've also looked at regulating self-driving vehicles. Self-driving is a big part of what Tesla is looking to do in the future. We know this, right? So think about this. Since the Department of Government Efficiency would also be looking to remove unnecessary regulations, guess which regulations don't particularly work for Tesla at this time? Guess which organization probably needs to be defunded for the sake of government efficiency? Now, Elon might not actually do this, but I'm going to go ahead and say this is a clash of interest. So in short, Elon Musk protests some parts of the funding bill that could have impacted Tesla, and Big Pharma get removed. Corporations win. Looks like the shadow government is alive and well, guys. I fail to see how this is any different to the corrupt system that the Republicans have called out on the campaign trail. So you let me know. Did Donald Trump really just create his own shadow government? Are they just another cabal serving their own interests? Let me know what you think, eh? And speaking of personal interests, I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by New Year's Day. I know it's crazy. It seems impossible. But maybe that could be my Christmas miracle. So if you're watching right now and you find value in my content, please subscribe. I really, really appreciate you. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.